If you're thinking about selling your house in Pennsylvania, there's an inspection that you got to know about because it's going to come up. Let's get into it. I don't know if you've heard of it or not, but there's an inspection in most Pennsylvania townships called Use and Occupancy. Use and Occupancy is really important to know before you sell your house because it can cost you big dollars to have certain things fixed or a buyer. So let me get into what Use and Occupancy is and what it is for some different areas and show you how you can get this information. So the Use and Occupancy is a inspection by the township, which basically has a lot to do with safety. So when you think about it, handrails, smoke detectors, carbon monoxide, making sure the house is in decent shape in some cases. A lot of times you'll see sidewalks and curbs included, which is one of the biggest ticket items. If you have a sidewalk in front of your house and that's on the Use and Occupancy inspection and that's cracked, that can be $500 per block. So if you've got 6 blocks, you're talking a $3,000 repair. If your curb is destroyed, you may have to have that curb replaced. That can also be fairly expensive. So anyway, it's good to get a list of what's going on in your particular area. So I'm going to go through a Use and Occupancy, and that way you can understand what's typically on something like this. So with Use and Occupancy, they're all different based on what township you're doing. The Use and Occupancy is going to happen usually a few weeks into the transaction. So once you go under contract, the seller is going to order Use and Occupancy. There's usually like $100 fee or so. And then they're going to have an inspector from the township come out. So for each township, it can be different. Some of them don't do it, actually. Like West Goshen, where I live, doesn't do it. So you can see that a point of sale inspection is not required in West Goshen, just like I mentioned. I'll do one that I just did in the Downingtown borough. I know this one has one. So with the Downingtown borough, you can see the information here, the main contact and all that stuff. And you can obviously reach out to, the government people and they'll tell you, if you have questions for them, I'm sure they'll be happy to answer them. But you look at the exterior here, so they're making you do sidewalks and curbs. And again, that's a really expensive one potentially if you have failed sidewalks and curbs. They're looking at your foundation, if you have rubbish, broken windows, house numbers, sheds, high grass and weeds, GFCIs, which are ground fault circuit interrupters, meaning those are usually circuit breakers around like water on the kitchen, bathrooms, that kind of thing. Taking a look at your driveway, your lights, that's pretty vague, but I guess they want you to have lights, exterior lights, and your gutters and downspouts to make sure they're operational. Interior, they're looking at smoke alarms, handrails, sprinkler system, ceilings, carbon monoxide detectors, and you can get like a smoke alarm / carbon monoxide detector, heating systems, your water supply, your fire extinguishers, safe stairs, again, ground fault interrupters, your exit doors, the walls, and the flooring. So they're looking to make sure that all these things are there. Now let's say that you fail on some of these things. Is the Use and Occupancy going to stop the sale? In the past, it sometimes has, and people have been forced to make these repairs prior to closing. But there's new rules in place, and they're not allowed to do that anymore. So you can actually get a temporary Use and Occupancy, and then you typically have 12 months to correct whatever issues that you had and then resolve them. So let's say you're buying a house with a bad heating system, for example, and you don't want to replace that heating system prior to closing. You don't have to. You can get a temporary Use and Occupancy and then get that done. Same thing with the sidewalks or the curb. You can get that done within a year of closing. So anyway, I hope that's really helpful in understanding Use and Occupancy. If you've got a question about your particular area in Pennsylvania, I'd be happy to help you get the information on the Use and Occupancy. And yeah, feel free to reach out. Have a great day, everybody.